All right, everyone. Just some final thoughts as we wrap up the article for this week. I thought I'd talk a little bit about my initial impressions of Worlds Collide. So, I got to play quite a bit of Worlds Collide over at Vault Tour Indy a couple weeks ago. So, did a tournament report. If you didn't get a chance to read it, give it a look. But just thought I'd kind of hit over the next couple minutes a little bit about my initial impressions. So I've pulled up here, according to Decks of Keyforge, my best Worlds Collide deck. And the reason I want to pull it up is because I think it points out a lot of the things that Worlds Collide does very well. So a couple things about this deck that are really interesting is that it has key control in all three houses, and what's unique is that it's all through creatures. So we got two Eddies in Logos, which actually compile like even better used together because you can archive a card with each. So then you end up with two cards in your archive, and then that means key costs are actually up by 4 if you have them both in play. So yeah, I mean, Eddie's probably one of the best, if not the best, card in Logos. So having 2 of those is great. We've also got Rettergallum, 3 of those. So as soon as you play that, keys cost +3, and then you can reap to make keys cost 3 whenever you need it to. So these guys, in my experience, have been extremely good. I wasn't super blown away when I first saw it because 3 powers not very sticky. But this card has been very good, very annoying to play against. And then in Star Alliance, we have 2 Sensor Chief Garcias. So play, fight, reap, keys cost +2. So this card, again, similar to Rettergallum, but only doing +2, but still given the opportunity to play impactful creatures that will also keep your opponent off keys. We've also got a Quadricorder in this deck. As well as some other areas I think in here. So we got Cutthroat Research, which synergizes very well with these, key cost increase type cards. I think Cutthroat Research is one of the cards from, that wasn't originally Worlds Collide card that has gained a lot of value because of decks like this, where you can push your opponent's key cost up to something like 8, 9, 10 pretty easily. And then Cutthroat Research just to break their back. So having 2 of those in here, it's obviously not always gonna hit, but this deck is certainly built well to force up the key costs. The other unique thing that plays well on the Worlds Collide strengths is that there's a lot of warding in this deck, I would say. So we've got 2 Tricerian Legionary, which wards a creature as soon as you play it, plus taunts the creatures around it. Then you've got Paraguardian, which when you reap, you can ward each of its neighbors. We've got Medic Ingram, which wards a creature and heals it when you play or fight or reap with it. So very strong there. And then we've got Nurse Soto, who also heals, doesn't ward, but heals. So what this allows you to do in kind of my experience is we get to play these big, huge, sticky, taunty Saurian guys, and then we can keep healing them over and over, warding them, and making a board that's pretty much unbeatable. This deck in my playtesting has been extremely strong, so I'm very excited to play with it. So I think that's kind of what I want to talk through this deck, is it really shows a lot of the great things about Worlds Collide, some of the very exciting cards coming out of it. I have playtested against Worlds Collide a bit, especially with Coda. I honestly don't have much experience with AOA at all because it was not a great set, but my top line Coda decks against Worlds Collide, what I've noticed is that bounce effects, whether that's Nature's Call or Lost in the Woods, those effects have gained a ton of value. My decks that have a lot of those types of effects seem to match up extremely well against the Saurian, Star Alliance type boards that rely a lot on synergy of onboard creatures. So I think Coda is going to still be very competitive. I think Worlds Collide will be right up there with it. But until we see differently, I'd say Coda's on the throne still for now. But I think the upside of Worlds Collide might be higher actually than Coda when all the cards fall just right, because there's so much synergy and a lot of powerful effects in Worlds Collide. So I'm very excited to see once we start getting into more Vault Tours, maybe even some Prime Championships, to see what decks are coming out on top in this new meta. But my initial assessment is that if you know Worlds Collide is showing up, you need to have a plan to deal with creatures. You need creature control as part of your battle plan. Solitaring out a bunch of amber from your hand is not going to be a great strategy, especially when you think about the fact that in Worlds Collide you've got Dis that can purge key parts of your combos or your key amber generating cards. It's going to be really hard to match up against that if you don't have a way to interact. So I think Coda decks that have the ability to interact with the board, as well as doing all the other things that Coda does very well, of course, those are going to be still extremely good strategies. So it's going to be really exciting over the next few months to see, how everything changes. But I hope everyone gets out there, gets a chance to try out some Worlds Collide, because I think you'll have a ton of fun. Even in a sealed environment, Worlds Collide was extremely fun to play. I think everyone at the Vault Tour had a great time. It's a lot of fun to watch as well. Just a lot of powerful plays going on. So get out there, play some Worlds Collide, and have fun. Thanks.